the mob will always work you out. I mean, it's a well-known fact. It's been around for a long time, and you can't pull the wool over their eyes.
I think Anthony Albanese is politically dead man walking. I cannot see how you can be the Prime Minister who the first thing he did when he was elected, he said he was going to be doing this thing. It's his signature policy. He spent 18 months on this thing, Keith, while the Australian people have got poorer and poorer because of the lie he told about electricity bills. This government has no legitimacy. I can't believe the unions are going to sit there, or the Labor Party are going to sit there and back this guy through to the next election. As I say, I think he's politically dead man walking. He has nothing to offer the Australian people, and that is crystal clear. All 6 states voting no to Albanese's divisive, lazy, futile referendum. And today, Labor has a hell of a lot to answer for.
It's just devastating.
I'm actually quite saddened. The fact that someone would look to divide the country intentionally, and that it's the nation's Prime Minister, its federal Labor government, and basically a bunch of activists from capital cities. How about Labor just starts listening to the local people on the cashless debit card, on not getting rid of alcohol bans, on making sure we get kids to school? How about they listen to some of those voices?
It's just devastating.
What does that say about the Labor Party being out of touch with their own voters? How could Linda Burney's own seat vote against this?
Well, I think it's just a demonstration, firstly, of their judgment, and secondly, that the mob will always work you out. I mean, it's a well-known fact. It's been around for a long time, and you can't pull the wool over their eyes. They desperately wanted detail. It wasn't provided. They want to know what difference it would make, and clearly it was none unless you lived in the cities and you were likely to be put on this thing and potentially paid who knows how much, because no one said. I mean, politically, I still don't know that this will have a direct impact on Labor's primary. I think the Australian people will sort of, dust their hands and say, well, we've dealt with that issue, and let's get back to what really matters, and that's cost of living. We just can't afford to pay our bills, and I think if they're going to come unstuck at the federal level, Labor will come unstuck on that, because they just keep driving prices up.
And I think you should be jubilant that the Australian people faced up to this overwhelming campaign of bullying and guilt and misinformation from the Yes camp and said no. I think that is a triumph for everyday Australians. But I am interested in Andrew G. He resigned from the Nationals, sits now as an independent because he backed The Voice. His seat voted something like 70% no. So is there something wrong with our democracy when we've got someone sitting in Parliament not representing the party that got him elected, and seemingly not representing the people in his own electorate?
Rita, don't get me wrong, I'm absolutely heartened for our democracy and the fact the Australian people won't be fooled. And I think in Clare, I think Andrew G's in more trouble than Flash Gordon.
But we only have 14 hours to save the Earth. Flash!
So many Australians were too terrified to even, put on a no T-shirt or put a no poster up outside their sign. This is something we've never seen before in Australia. This was intimidation of the everyday Australians by the elites and by the left. The Nationals led the way, but, we've got to make sure this never happens again, Keith.
I agree. The only thing that'd be worse for Labor was if they're Rudd-Gillard Rudd again, so I think there's that. But secondly, it was my colleagues in the National Party, and there were a fairly small crew of us to start with.
Exactly.
That managed to till the ground, drove it forward. Myself, Jacinta Price, obviously, Barnaby, Lou O'Brien, Dave Gillespie, Col Boyce. We made a decision very early that this was a values-based decision. You don't split the country. Everyone gets an equal say in our democracy, and I am absolutely heartened that the Australian people listen to that message. And I think it is a great day for democracy, even though I'm sad about the division that it's caused. And it's up to all of us now, We've got to put the place back together and get on with what needs to be done.
A Labor government will always look for ways in which we can provide assistance to those in need. We'll do so, of course, though, in a context. The context here is we don't want to add to any inflationary pressure.